Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive into the incredible power of, well, tiny gains. We're diving headfirst into The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
A book that I'm sure many of our listeners are familiar with.
Definitely familiar. It's all about how those small, almost forgettable choices we make every day, they can actually snowball into huge, life-changing results.
It's like, the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
But the thing is, and this is what I find fascinating, this idea applies to, well, pretty much everything. Our personal lives, our work, heck, even ancient Rome.
Right. Okay, so let's break down this whole compound effect thing. Hardy kicks off with this pretty interesting story, something I think we can all relate to. It's about cutting calories.
Always a popular topic.
He talks about getting rid of just 125 calories every day. Think about it. That could be as simple as, like, swapping that afternoon soda for a glass of water. Doesn't sound like much, right?
You'd think, what difference is 125 calories really going to make? But hold on, because here's the mind-blowing part. Over about, let's say, 31 months, that tiny change adds up to, wait for it, a whopping 33 pounds gone, just like that.
Wow, 33 pounds, that's huge.
It really shows you how those little everyday choices, they pack a punch over time.
So it's not about finding that one magic solution. It's more about those small, consistent changes, the ones you can actually stick with that end up leading to those, well, those big wins down the line.
Exactly.
But, Hardy doesn't just focus on all the positive stuff. He also talks about this guy, Brad. Brad's got this habit of, well, indulging in richer foods a bit too often, that extra slice of cake, second helpings of pasta, those little treats we tell ourselves won't hurt.
We've all been there.
Right. So what happens is this seemingly harmless change, it actually sets off this like chain reaction for Brad.
Oh, yeah. He starts feeling sluggish. His sleep goes out the window. And, well, let's just say, he's not exactly the most pleasant person to be around.
We've all had those days. So what happens to Brad?
Well, his, let's call it crankiness. It starts to affect his work. Then his commute becomes a nightmare. And, of course, what does he do to cope? More stress eating. It's the perfect example of what Hardy calls the, and this is a good one, the ripple effect.
Okay, I like that.
One small change, and we often don't even notice it, but it starts creating these ripples that spread out and impact other parts of our lives. And for poor Brad, those ripples, they turned into a tidal wave of, well, not so good consequences.
Okay, that's a little scary, honestly. It's like we're just sleepwalking through our lives, making these tiny, seemingly insignificant choices that could be, like, secretly sabotaging our progress without us even knowing it.
It's true. And that's why it's so important to pay attention to those little decisions, even the ones that seem small, because they can have just as big of a compounding effect as those positive choices we make.
It's like you're not just making a choice for today, you're setting the course for your future self.
100%.
Okay, so then how do we break free from this cycle of making choices without realizing it and start making decisions that actually line up with, where we want to be?
That's where the power of choice, of really being conscious, comes in. It's about taking a moment, hitting the pause button, and asking yourself, is this choice going to move me closer to my goals or further away?
It's like that analogy Hardy uses in the book. Imagine you're asked to walk across a plank for, say, 20 bucks.
Most people would probably go for it, right? I mean, there's a bit of risk, but hey, 20 bucks is 20 bucks.
Exactly. But would you walk across that same plank if it was, like, stretched between two skyscrapers?
Now, that's a different story. The thing is, the risk is the same.
Yeah.
You're still walking the plank. But the why, the reason behind it, that's totally different. And that why, that motivation, it can be the difference between taking a chance and staying stuck right where you are. Because that why, that's your fuel. That's what pushes you forward, even when you feel like you're walking a tightrope between skyscrapers.
So how do we tap into that why power, that deep down motivation that helps us reach our goals?
Hardy suggests starting with your core values. Those big fundamental beliefs that shape how you see the world and ultimately what you do.
Right, like your guiding principles.
Exactly. When you're crystal clear on what truly matters to you, making those tough choices gets a little easier,
So those values become your compass, always pointing you in the right direction.
100%. Now, sometimes this why power, it comes from the most unexpected places.
Oh, I like that.
Hardy talks about Pete Carroll, the football coach.
Yeah.
Right? He actually used to get told he was too small to play.
Ouch.
Right. But instead of letting it get to him, he used that frustration, that feeling of being underestimated as fuel.
He turned that perceived weakness into, well, the driving force behind his success.
Exactly. And that just goes to show you, even those not so great experiences, those moments of self-doubt, you can use them, you can transform them into something that propels you forward.
It's all about how you choose to look at those experiences. And it reminds us that even when we talk about luck, it's often a mix of being prepared, having the right attitude, being in the right place at the right time, and then actually taking action.
It's not just about luck, it's about making your own luck.
So no more blaming bad luck for our circumstances. It's about owning our choices and creating our own luck.
100%.
Hmm.
Now, speaking of owning things, let's talk habits. They're the backbone of our daily lives, right?
Okay.
And Hardy, he uses this great analogy of a tiny sapling growing into this mighty oak tree over time.
It's such a vivid image. And we all know how tough it is to try to uproot a big oak tree. Those roots run deep.
And it's the same with our habits. Those small actions we repeat day after day, they add up over time. But here's the thing. This compounding effect, it's a double-edged sword.
Meaning.
Well, positive habits, it can lead to amazing growth, but those negative habits, well, they can really take root and hold us back.
So how do we escape those, especially the ones that feel good in the moment? Like, I don't know, scrolling through social media for hours instead of, say, working on that side project we're passionate about.
Ah, the classic instant gratification trap. We've all been there. But here's the key. It's about understanding how our brains work. You know, our brains, they love that quick hit of dopamine we get from those instantly rewarding activities, even when we know deep down they're not good for us in the long run.
So that's why it's so hard to resist that piece of chocolate cake. Even when we're trying to eat healthy, our brain's like, sugar rush, do it.
It's like our brain's reward system in overdrive.
Mhm.
But here's the good news.
Yeah.
When you understand how that reward system works, you can actually start to rewire it.
Rewire it. Is that even possible?
Absolutely. Instead of letting those instant gratification impulses control your decisions, you can make conscious choices that line up with those long-term goals.
It's about retraining your brain to find satisfaction in the things that truly support your growth and well-being. Delayed gratification. Yeah. So how do we train our brains to, like, crave the salad instead of the cake?
Well, it's not about going cold turkey or relying on willpower alone. Hardy actually gives us a whole toolkit of practical strategies to make building those good habits easier.
Okay, let's hear them, because I'm ready to upgrade my habit game.
One really effective technique is to set yourself up to win, as Hardy puts it. Instead of trying to change everything overnight, start small.
Small, manageable changes. I like it.
Right. And then gradually, you increase the difficulty over time.
He talks about this woman, Beverly, who went from barely being able to walk around the block to running a half marathon.
Exactly. She didn't start by trying to run 10 miles a day. It was those small, achievable steps.
Hmm.
It's like climbing a mountain, right? You focus on the next step, and then the next, and eventually you're at the top.
Small steps, big results. Okay, what else? What else can we do to really make those positive habits stick?
We'll change your environment, make it work for you. Our surroundings, they have this sneaky way of influencing our behavior.
It's like setting the stage for success.
Right. So if you're trying to eat healthier, don't keep a pantry full of junk food. If you want to read more, make sure you've got a book within arm's reach at all times.
Make it easy to make healthy choices.
Exactly.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Exactly. And here's a fun one. Go for a PDA.
A PDA. Wait, those things still exist. I thought we were all about smartphones these days.
Not quite in the same way. We're talking about a public display of accountability.
Okay, I like it.
Tell people your goals. Share your progress on social media. Find an accountability buddy.
Ah! So no more secret resolutions. We're shouting them from the rooftops.
Exactly. Because when you make your intentions known, it creates this sense of commitment, which ups your chances of actually following through. And don't underestimate the power of your social circle. Find inspiration from others. Surround yourself with people who are already doing the things you want to do.
It's true. Our energy is contagious.
It rubs off on you. If the people you're around are constantly negative or engaging in unhealthy habits, well, that's going to make it a lot harder to create positive change in your own life.
So find your tribe. Those people who are positive, driven, supportive, they become your cheerleading squad.
100%. And, a little friendly competition never hurt anyone either.
Right.
Compete and collaborate. Hardy talks about this step counting competition where people who normally hated exercise were suddenly walking miles each day just to win.
It's amazing how motivating a little competition can be. But how do we keep that momentum going even after the competition ends? When the initial excitement wears off.
That's where patience comes in. Remember, building lasting change takes time. It's about rewiring your brain, and those neural pathways, they don't change overnight.
So be patient with yourself and trust the process.
Exactly. And speaking of processes, let's talk routines.
Routines. Is that how we turn these positive habits into like a well-oiled machine for success?
You got it. Hardy's a big believer in the power of routines to help you sustain those small positive actions over the long haul.
It's about building those good habits into like the foundation of our day-to-day lives.
Exactly. Think of it like this. A routine, it's like putting your success on autopilot. You're automating those positive behaviors so you don't have to constantly rely on willpower.
Which we all know can be, well, unreliable.
Oh, absolutely. Willpower, it's like a battery, it runs out, especially when we're stressed or tired or haven't had our coffee yet.
It's like trying to make 100 decisions before you've even had breakfast. No wonder we're reaching for the donuts by lunchtime, right?
Exactly. But when you've got that solid routine, those healthy choices, they just become automatic. You've already made the decision ahead of time. No more battling with yourself when your willpower is running low.
So how do we go about designing a routine that we can actually stick with?
Hardy, he's a huge advocate for creating a really powerful morning routine. For him, it's meditation, exercise, and reading. Things that energize his mind and body and set a positive tone right from the get-go.
It's like priming yourself for a good day.
Exactly. Now, a morning routine, that's an awesome foundation. But it's just as crucial to, as Hardy calls it, cash out at the end of each day.
Cash out. Like, are we talking about counting all the metaphorical money we made from all our hard work today?
You could say that, but instead of dollars and cents, we're taking stock of our progress. What went well? What could I have done differently? What am I grateful for? That kind of thing.
So it's like hitting the reset button before bed, tying up loose ends, being ready for a fresh start.
Precisely. And it only takes a few minutes. But those few minutes, they can make a world of difference in terms of self-awareness and keeping you on track towards big goals.
Now, routines are important, right? But Hardy also talks about how it's good to shake things up every once in a while.
Oh yeah, if we're not careful, those routines, they can become, well, routine. And then they lose their effectiveness. We have to keep things fresh, challenge ourselves, try new things.
It's like adding a little spice to your favorite recipe.
Exactly. Trying a new workout, exploring a new genre of books. Heck, even taking a different route to work.
Keeps things interesting.
Keeps you on your toes. So we've talked about making conscious choices, building solid habits, establishing routines, keeping that momentum going. But there's one more piece to this compound effect puzzle that I think is super cool. It's the multiplier effect.
Okay, let's multiply our success. What is it all about?
The multiplier effect, it's about going above and beyond what's expected, creating a ripple effect of positive outcomes.
Like those random acts of kindness that can really make someone's day.
Exactly. We often underestimate the power of those small gestures. Hardy talks about this Thanksgiving tradition he has in his own life.
The one where he writes down everything he's grateful for about his wife and then surprises her with it.
That's it. That small act of expressing gratitude, it had this huge impact on their relationship, way bigger than he could have imagined.
It's a good reminder that those little unexpected gestures of love and appreciation, they can be so powerful. And speaking of unexpected, remember Oprah's famous car giveaway?
Now that's the multiplier effect in action. Oprah, she didn't just give away one car, she gave away a car to everyone in the audience.
Can you imagine the excitement, the look on their faces? Those are the moments people never forget. But we don't all have Oprah's budget. We can't be giving away cars every day.
Of course not. It's about finding those smaller opportunities in your everyday life to go above and beyond. It could be as simple as, actually writing a thank you note instead of sending a quick email, or showing up early to a meeting, or offering to help a coworker who's feeling swamped.
Little things that make a big difference.
Exactly. They might seem small, but they have this ripple effect, this way of brightening someone's day, strengthening connections, creating this wave of positivity. And that wave, it comes back to you.
So to really harness the power of this compound effect we've been talking about, it's about those small, consistent actions every single day in our personal lives, our work, everything.
Absolutely. It's about setting those intentions, aligning our actions with our values, and trusting that those little things, they'll compound over time. And when they do, well, you'll create a future that's even more amazing than you thought possible.
This deep dive into the compound effect has been incredible. If you take away just one thing from today, let it be this. Never, ever underestimate the power of those small, seemingly insignificant choices. Over time, they can completely transform our lives.
So as you go about your day, ask yourself, What's one small action I can take today that, if I do it consistently, will have a huge positive impact on my life a year from now? Think about it.